Not one, not two, not three, four, five, or six times, but 7 rushing touchdowns for Philadelphia. Fly, Eagles, fly. Can they get revenge in the Big Easy?
Buffalo falls short again in their quest for a Super Bowl berth. Kansas City and Taylor Swift are on their way to the Big Easy for a possible three-peat in the big game.
Yet another rematch headed your way for Super Bowl Sunday. Sunday Scaries with Bucks McGee, just telling you just how these teams got there.
Yeah, America had hopes and dreams today. We're not talking about elections or anything like that. One thing, one thing. Josh Allen, get a first down. End the reign of Patty Mahomes. But no, nutmeg. Here we are again. Don't know what to say. Don't know.
Well, Bucks McGee, I'll give you a couple silver linings. One, at least we can't really blame the refs on this one.
No, you know what? I was impressed because I figured this was gonna be a hot mess and it was gonna be, Patrick sneezed and they gave him a 15-yarder and all this, but it was a clean game. Very clean game.
And the other silver lining, apparently the Chiefs only play the same teams in the Super Bowl. So I guess you can cling to some sliver of hope that next year, when they come back to try for 4 straight, maybe they'll be playing Tampa Bay.
Oh, so you're already giving them this game. Oh, okay. Yeah, fly Eagles fly. Saquon Barkley MVP. You heard it now. No, no, no. It ends. It ends. Mm-mm. No, because you know what? The Eagles don't run the same play over
Oh,
and over
oh,
again. Well, they can, but you know what?
it
90% of the
works.
time it works.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Oh, yeah. I love the smell of Panther. Mm.
Speaking of things not exactly working well, let's talk about Buffalo's play calling. And uh, obviously, the most glaring is something you've been hinting at to start off the show is their consistent habit of winding up in short yardage situations and trying to pull off their best Philadelphia Eagles and do a tush push. And Josh is a big guy. Josh has strong legs, but didn't exactly have the same success rate.
No, and the worst part of this is the fact that the Chiefs know exactly where you're going. Tony Romo's talking about it on the show. Josh likes to go off to the left when they do their version of the tush push. I don't know what they call it in Buffalo, but and literally that's all he did, off to the left. Now you're on the goal line. You're going to be successful because you literally just have to get over the line, so it works. But the plays that when they called this, no, no, horrible. No reason. You're telling me that James Cook can't run for a first down, wouldn't be able to knife his way through because he had a hell of a game. You're telling
Mm-hmm.
me that you couldn't get a short, quick pass to a tight end? No. You're going to run the same play over and over again. And it doomed them. That first down they didn't get changed the whole complexity of this game.
Or even a bootleg. I mean, get Josh some momentum behind the running instead of just trying to squeeze in behind 11 big bruisers.
And they knew exactly where you were going. They knew it. All of America knew, but yet you still run it. So you can't sit there and tell me that, you feel bad for Buffalo because they had the game. They get that first down. This game this game ends differently. I think if they get that first down at that pivotal point in the game, they win this game and they're going to the Super Bowl.
And their play calling, the short yardage situations wasn't just the extent of bad play calling. They were going for an extra kick. I think it was an offsides call that Kansas City had called. They got pushed up the 1 yard line. They're like, oh, let's be cute, go for two, get a 3 point game. I don't know why you need a 3 point game in the first half, but they decided to
No.
do that. Of course, they get stopped. So then the next time they score, they're forced to go for two to make a 3 point game heading into the fourth quarter. And sure enough, they get stopped again. So it's just like one, you go for two out of completely unnecessary turns, and the other one, you're forced into it, and Kansas City knows exactly what you're doing.
And knowing that your secondary is depleted, a wrap is out, your safety's out. You lose a cornerback, you lose your top cornerback in this game early. So at this point, you're trying to survive because it's Kansas City, and mind you, they haven't lit the league up with their passing this year, but Patrick can make the passes when he needs to. That's what happened in this game. He didn't throw for 300 yards, but they were able to get some daggers in when they needed to. So, Elam from Buffalo was running around chasing people. He was 3 or 4 steps behind. Secondary was absolutely shot for Buffalo. So why put yourself in this situation where if you don't pull this off, your defense is right off the bat behind the 8 ball?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Ask Joe Brady. He's the man.
Yeah. Justice for Ken Dorsey.
Ken Dorsey wouldn't have ran the same play. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's what it comes down to. And I think Buffalo should have won this game. So now it is what it is. Bad play calling. They're going to have to sit there and look at that. What surprised me, though, was that they didn't go to Cooper or Samuel more. These guys are quality receivers. Now, mind you, Hollis has really stepped into his own this year. He's, big, physical, got a bit of an edge to him, stepped into his own this year. But literally, Cooper was almost non-existent. And Samuel, the same thing, except for, a couple plays, didn't hear anything. Now, I didn't want Josh to, drop back 50 times, but I just think they could have thrown the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Samuel caught the touchdown to tie it at 29. Cooper in the second half I don't think he got the first down, but he picked up a good chunk of yards to get them close to to moving the chains. So when they did get their number called, they did produce. It just wasn't very often.
No, and again, you've got 2 quality tight ends. What's the problem? If you're only going to use them to block, then you know what? Trade those guys, get some draft picks, and then just pick up some seventh round blocker from Iowa or Nebraska who isn't going to catch the ball, because that's wasted talent.
And Knox had a decent play to get down to the pylon. I think that was before the Cook touchdown. And Kincaid, they were killing him at the end of the game for dropping that pass. But that's a Hail Mary attempt, and the guy's diving out for it. You can't. Yeah. I mean, it would be amazing. Sure, it hit him in the hands, but it would have been an amazing catch if he caught it. Certainly not one that you could just say, "Oh yeah, man, you should have caught that," diving out for your life to grab it.
Yeah, he probably didn't even think the ball was going to make it there. If you watch the play, the way he rolls out, yeah, maybe he could have watched a little better, positioned himself. But there were 3 Chiefs around him. If that ball was thrown any other way, it was probably getting picked.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's be realistic. So you're going to dump on that guy when, like I said, you run the same, 4th and, inches play 7 times and only convert it once or twice.
Which, mind you, the offensive line, aside from James Cook's performances, the offensive line was very, very bad in this game. So I don't know how you could really expect them to have got Josh enough of a hole to plug through when they couldn't get him time to even drop back and pass at all.
But you know what? It wasn't like they really were passing though. It was pretty much, we're going to run. We'll try we'll throw a little bit, but we're going to run Josh, and then we'll run Cook, but Cook runs on 1st and 2nd down, but then has to come out because he's got to catch his breath. It's the 4th quarter. you sit your tail in there till you can't, till your legs fall off.
Yeah, with a
You
chance to go
know,
to the Super Bowl on the line.
yeah. You're not pulling me out. You know, so I think the offensive line is, I think their offensive line is good, but when in these pivotal points of the game, you're running the same play. I don't care who you put on there. I don't care whose offensive line you've got up there. I don't care if you have the 90s Dallas teams up there. Teams are going to know where you're going. They're going to sit there, figure it out, and they're going to stop you. And that's what happened. The play calling was suspect at that point, and all the credit to, KC or whatever, but they escaped. If anyone was decent, if that was Sean McVay, you think he would have ran that play?
No.
Like, come on now. I'm sorry. Like, the play calling was, like we said, really shoddy in pivotal points of the game. So now that Buffalo's going to have to sit there and figure it out. Now, mind you, they're still, probably considered the best in their division, but things are going to change rather quickly in the offseason. So they're going to have to sit on that and hope that, they can come back, fix some things up. That secondary is really beat. So they're going to have to, get some young blood in there. Kansas City now is on the quest.
Yeah, the bitter pill of that is it doesn't take much to be the best team in the AFC East.
Yeah.
We spoke about weapons, so let's talk about Kansas City's weapons because this is something that was much maligned of the Chiefs all season. Kelsey obviously was not himself all season. He had a resurgence in the divisional game where he looked like, oh, Travis Kelsey's back, but Travis Kelsey, he only got 3, 4 targets, something like that in this championship game. He really was not a factor. And I'm laughing. I'm laughing because early on to set up the first touchdown to kind of draw first blood. Juju Smith-Schuster comes back, and then later in the game he has another long play. I think those are the only 2 times I saw him in this whole game. So kind of doing the MVS from last year, where Juju just a random receiver just shows up at a pivotal time. Uh, Hollywood Brown had a few clutch possession receptions in this one. It was a nice balance in the run game between Hunt and Pacheco. Uh, and Xavier Worthy kind of non-existent in the second half, but had a huge first half to really put the Chiefs in prime position. So, are you finally confident that the Chiefs' weapons are what the Chiefs need them to be?
No.
No.
No, because if Buffalo's secondary was at full strength, I don't think Juju Smith-Schuster's catch is he might have 1 catch or 2 catches, but I don't think he's as big of a factor in the passing game as he was. Now, mind you, listen to what we're saying. Juju Smith-Schuster, 2 catches, a big factor in the Kansas City passing game.
Well, when those 2 catches go for 55, 60 yards.
Right. In a depleted Buffalo secondary. Like, I get it, but no. Now, mind you, Worthy was solid. Worthy, did his thing. He was a little more of a wide receiver than a gadget guy this game, so I'm going to give him his props. But no. If you're telling me that, Patrick throwing for 320, 330 is what this offense is going to be. Now, mind you, Pacheco had some runs, but it wasn't a lot of Pacheco tonight. It was pretty much Kareem. It was pretty much Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Which I found interesting. A lot more Kareem Hunt. Excuse me. So
I think a lot of that is just because Kareem Hunt's more of a receiving threat.
Yeah, but he didn't really catch a lot either. He almost was a pounder. If you really look at it, he almost was a pounder, and it was like, all right, we'll bring in Pacheco, we'll sprinkle him in here and there, but which I don't know. I don't know if maybe he's a little banged up. Who knows? But no, right now, if you're going to tell me going up against Philly's defense, no way. Because honestly, the Eagles secondary, which we talked about at the beginning of the year, we thought was absolute a mess, and we were like, yeah, they're going to be a hot mess. They're really good. They're young. They got some young pieces, and they've got guys who can cover Juju. Like Elam for Buffalo was like some guy they picked up in in section 320 And the beer guy just gave him a helmet and said, "Run around and cover somebody." There were plays where you saw like Juju here, and then here's Elam. Oh, where are you? Where are you? Like it was bad. And like the secondary for Buffalo was beat. I understand they were beat up and stuff, but it was just bad. So Kansas City did what they needed to do to win. The only one by 3. Bad play calling by Buffalo basically gives them the game. No. Now if they light up Philly, then okay. But no, I'm still not sold.
And 2 of the touchdowns, of course, on the ground by Mahomes. And we talked about this off air in the middle of the game. Why can't anyone stop Patrick Mahomes running? He's not doing anything special. This isn't Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson out there.
You would think by the commentators, though, it's like the greatest rushing quarterback of all time. Like literally, they're just like enamored with the way he runs. Like he's a gazelle in the wood. Just I'm like, really? Come on, guys. Like the guy gets the job done, but no, he's not Michael Vick. He's not Lamar. Like, come on. But teams, you know what it is, and this is the truth. It's the Travis Kelce effect because you got to cover him, and teams still, it's ingrained in your head. Like it is, and you have to give Kelce credit for that. So you're thinking, okay, they're not going to run Mahomes. It's the times where you think they won't run Mahomes that they're going to run him. So just get a damn spy out there. Literally, if your defense, the way the Chiefs are constructed now, I think you can have a spy who can sit there and say, okay, watch Patrick. If he breaks, there you go. Send him. But I just don't know. That just happens every game.
I mean, what was it? The Lions ran a what 4-2-5. So you tell me other teams can't do that and have an extra DB that's their only job?
Like seriously, like you're telling me there you can't figure it out. It's the same thing the last 3 years. But
to,
they're going. Like here it is. I don't
to your point on the Kelsey effect, I mean, honest to goodness, are we even getting to the point where that even needs to come into play with the way Kelsey has underperformed all season, aside from that divisional performance? Like,
well that's
can they just can they just play him straight up and not even worry about double teaming and shadowing him and
no.
implementing the Kelsey effect?
You still have to because he still can put the numbers up. You have to. You have to. I would if your secondary is and your backers are fast enough and can cover. You cover Kelsey and you force Juju Smith-Schuster to be the guy who beats you. That's what you do. You force Juju Smith, and it's funny to say that, but you know what? A couple of years ago, he was an up and coming guy, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
you know
Burner.
exactly. So because if you sit there and let Travis do his thing, he will burn you. So I don't want to get burnt by Xavier Worthy. You got him, Hollywood Brown. You
Yeah,
get some competent cornerbacks to handle that. Philly's defensive line is ferocious. I don't know if KC's guys can hold up. Those guys are ferocious. Their linebackers can cover, cause turnovers, and we saw that today. We'll talk about it later. But no, I think you still cover Travis, and you say, all right, Patrick, you beat me. You beat me with Juju. Give Juju 120 yards in the Super Bowl and MVP. Make it happen.
Now we've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but just the other assets of Buffalo's performance here, the defense. I guess you could say they did what they could. There was, I mean, especially with the injuries, there really wasn't much they could do to hold up here, but they still tried to keep them in the game. And then, of course, their weapons. Hollins had that. This guy must have stickum on his hands between the touchdown and then that long drive down the field to set up the tying touchdown. And then Cook, at one point, he was averaging 10 yards a carry. He was masterful in this one. So, I mean, what's your kind of final touch on the Buffalo's defense, just trying keeping them in it despite everything going against them, and then their weapons.
Buffalo's defense did what they had to. They did their part. Buffalo's defense did their part for, like I said, their secondary was shot. So they worked with what they had. They got some sacks when they needed to. They got, the Chiefs in some long situations and were able to get some punts. It all came down to the play calling and the offense. I think that's what failed them. Hollis is the guy is good. He's a little on the interesting side, but the guy's got talent. I am surprised, like I said earlier. I figured Cooper and Samuels would have gotten a little more involved in the offense. I think maybe that I understand how Buffalo got to the AFC Championship game, but I think now looking back, maybe a little more passing, get those guys involved. Maybe the second half of the season, and then I think they may have rolled in with a little more of a complete offense. I think it was okay. Josh is going to run. Josh is going to do his thing. We're going to use Cook, and then everybody will just get sprinkled in. I
I
think they could
was
have been a little.
scratch I was scratching my head at one point because I saw him on the touchdown. I'm thinking, wait, Gabe Davis is not there anymore.
No, and, and, and good old Gabe Davis. Yeah, like they've got solid receivers. I don't think they. I think the problem was is they got too far away from the pass because they were a pass heavy team last year, and I guess it was like their cleansing thing. We want to be different, yada yada, so we're going to run more, and this is what the team morphed into, and this is how they won. So I get it, but I think if were able to throw the ball a little more, it would have opened up that offense. You wouldn't have had to worry about running on 4th and 1 all the time, running quarterback sneaks, and you'd be popping champagne, getting ready to go to New Orleans.
An identity crisis and potential hot seat ahead for the Bills.
Yeah, because next year it has to happen next year. It's Super Bowl or get yourself a new coach. That's what it is.
Yeah. Speaking, of course, of legacy, the Chiefs are going for their third straight Super Bowl and fourth straight appearance now.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. And it's interesting the fact that the Bills have been 4-0 against the Chiefs in the regular season, and then the Chiefs are now 4-0 against the Bills in the postseason. So this is but it doesn't have the same feel as Brady and Manning before Peyton broke through finally. It doesn't quite have the same feel as that. It feels like the Bills are a little bit more the proverbial biatch.
No, that it's what it is. They don't win when it counts. They get like this false sense of, oh, we beat them in the regular season. Yay, okay, we're ready. And then when it's time to handle your business, you fall apart. Like and this is it again. Like you're knocking on the door, but you can't get a first down. The basic almost iced the game. Like there was still enough game to be played, but that first down would have went a long way because I think they probably would have scored.
Given
So that's what it was. So it kind of reminds me of the Joe Burrow thing. Well, Joe Burrow beat him in the playoff, beat Mahomes in the playoffs. So blah 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 blah. Yeah, well, no one cares now because it's been how many years? It's time to move on.
and what Cincinnati done since.
Because if that's what you're gonna do, if this is what we're gonna do against Mahomes, then you literally can sit there and say, well, the only person that beat him in a conference championship in a Super Bowl was Tom Brady.
Mm.
Like, are we really gonna pick stuff apart that much just so we can say, well, Patrick did lose to somebody? At the end of the day, this is the year where they're the most vulnerable. It's there, but teams defeat themselves. It's a mental thing. For some reason, teams just can't figure it out. I think
See,
Philly's stupid enough not to worry about it.
give it, yeah, that's right. Given that what this team is with how much they've relied on their defense, that the weapons have been a constant question mark week in and week out, and Mahomes not really being his dominating carry a team by himself type of performance this year. Would you go as far as to say this is the most impressive run by the Chiefs to the Super Bowl?
I think you can say that totally. Hey, last couple of years it was 30 something points, high flying offense here or there. This year they've scraped. They've been scrappy and have won single possession games and this and that. And we always said this year, okay, there's going to be a point where the magic ends. We talked about that. It's got to end sometime. Now, is it magical and they're going to win their third Super Bowl? They could. I don't know. Like, I really don't. And of course, we'll go into this more once we talk about the matchup. But I don't know if what they have. It seems like they're almost limping in. Like they're like, oh, we got it. We got in the Super Bowl. Okay. Now all of a sudden, is Andy Reid going to go 5 wide, and all of a sudden Patrick's throwing for 350? Like I said, does this offense all of a sudden become something spectacular, or are they like, all right, well, this is what we're going to do, and as long as we got Patty Mahomes and he gets that 15-yard run, we're good. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it works this time. I have my opinion, and my opinion is I think the magic ends. I really do. I think Philly's built to handle this. And we'll see, of course. You got to play the game, but yeah, at this point, you have to give them that. This would be, if they win it, this would be the most impressive run.
Playing with fire every single week.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like the coaches in the AFC are dumb as damn dirt. Dumb as dirt, because I just don't know. Dumb as dirt. You guys literally every week can knock them off. Oh, don't know what I'm doing. You know what? 4th and 1. Let's run that quarterback sneak 4 or 5 times in a row. Let's do it. So no, that's what y'all get. So now you're going to get Philly, who's going to come in and be like, oh, we don't care. We're going to do whatever we do. We think we can throw the ball. We don't know. We got Saquon Barkley. At this point, MVP, in my opinion, the man's incredible. Go ahead. He's going to run for something. It'll be fun to watch, but KC's in. You got to give them their credit. Buffalo, nope. You guys are back. You guys have gotten the keys.
Oh, they got the keys. They got the keys.
Fraudulent pet house right there. I rode you guys. I rode with you all year. And what do you do to me? You throw it in my face. So you guys start next year living in the fraudulent motel.
Play your way out of it. We will not trust you again.
And you know who's behind you? The Jacksonville Jaguars.
We will have a special coaching show because I know you've got some grievances to air of that. A little late for Festivus season, but it'll happen.
Oh, you know.
So, the Chiefs' opponent is not Washington, and 2 big reasons why is that defense decided to be a plate of Swiss cheese, and ball security was a big issue, to say the least. I don't know why Austin Eckler is being relied upon.
Well, because they thought they'd catch lightning in a bottle and figured he would have been okay. Now, mind you, he wasn't like he had a fumble issue with the Chargers. They just thought he was old, didn't want to pay him. So they figured they'd pick up this cheap veteran who might still had some tread on the tires, and because this was supposed to be a rebuild, like believe me, they didn't start the season saying we're going to be in the NFC Championship game. Yeah, we are. No one thought that. The person who bet that man's living life right now. So the first fumble, okay, fine. I'm like, all right, it happens. And then it happens again. I'm like, what is Austin Eckler doing? And at that point, it was just Philly. Philly smelled blood in the water right off the bat, dude. Like,
I think the second one was like the turning point to be the nail in the coffin, because at that point Washington had a chance to what were they down 11 or something at the time? So like if they had scored again, it's a brand new ball game and Philly's on their heels a little bit.
Yeah, because I thought they were going to score, and I was like, all right, here we go. They'll still be down, but I'm like, all right, Washington's going to score, and it just didn't happen. And next thing you know, Daniels is just trying to make something out of nothing, and Washington's defense just fell apart. Unfortunately, Saquon is that is that talented. The passing game showed up a little bit in the second half, but the first half was Saquon. That's all it was, and they couldn't tackle him. He was just himself, and yet again the Giants sat there and probably cried while they watched this happen. And it is what it is, man. That defensive line for the Eagles is incredible. Carter and those guys are unbelievable. The Eagles offensive line, probably the best in the league.
Their offensive line is masterful.
Yeah, and they've got guys they can bring in. Now, mind you, they were hurt too. Dickerson was hurt. Cam Jurgens was playing, but he had a back injury. But they brought him in, and he just says, "Okay, I'll play," and there you go.
And retooling it after Jason Kelsey's retirement.
Yeah, haven't missed a beat. That offensive line is unbelievable. So what's going to probably happen? And like I said, and I think those two units on Philly are way better than what Kansas City has. Now, mind you, Kansas City's defensive line is solid. I've given them their props, but I think the Eagles are younger and faster. I think their offensive line is a lot better. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Should we have expected an outburst like this, given the fact that they beat the Lions, but it was still a shootout for most of the game. They still gave up 35, 37 points, whatever it was, to the Lions. It just so happened the fact that the Lions defense was beat up and run down, so Washington did whatever they wanted to do. But should this have maybe not been so much of a surprise? We knew Washington's defense really was no good, aside from a few bright spots here and there over the course of the season. Should it have not been a surprise that the Eagles just did what they wanted to against that unit?
Well, here was the thing. The Commanders were getting gradually better. So it was like, okay, if they can hold the Eagles to 20 points, 20, 25 points, they got a shot because Washington can score. They run the ball, Daniels, he throws the ball, but he also extends plays with his legs. So it was like, all right, if the game is in the mid-20s, they've got a chance. They've got a solid chance that their defense can step up. For about a half, it did, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but the floodgates opened, and next thing you know, we're looking, and it's 55 to whatever. They blow it up. It's like, what? Will Shipley scores a touchdown at the end of the game. People are like, who the hell is Will Shipley?
Yeah.
He wasn't on anybody's betting sheet.
He had a long run earlier in that drive to set it up as well.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, keep feeding them. Saquon's cheering them on. They're having a grand old time. I'm sure he wasn't on DraftKings or, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Kellen Moore was probably just throwing him in to give Saquon a blow at the end because at that point he had an absolute animal of a game. He's probably just throwing this kid in to give Saquon a rest.
Yeah, at that point of the game, Saquon's like, dude, man, I'm bored. Okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
Put a Will Shipley. Let's get this party going. And you got to give the Commanders credit. No one thought they were going to be in this position. So, they went on this magical run, and they're going to have to retool some positions. Austin Eckler, I'd be surprised if he's there next year. Yeah, I think, two fumbles. I think that's going to be tough. Tight end. I don't know if Zach Ertz is going to come back. It's probably his last game unless they, think he can do something. So there are going to be some pieces they're going to have to, work on. But overall, you got to give them credit. And they got a ton of cap. They got like $89 million in cap, so they're going to be spending.
Now is the time to spend, because spend it now while Daniels is dirt cheap.
Exactly, and everyone, and there are going to be some guys you're going to be like, yo, I want to go to Washington. The culture's already built, so they're good. They are going to be a force. So, we all in America were hoping for the Buffalo Washington Super Bowl. They were the feel-good story. Unfortunately, they went to Philly, and we all know when you go watch a game in Philly, unless you're a Philly fan, it's not the happiest place to be. And Washington tasted that. Santa
Claus knows.
Yeah, exactly.
um, don't I mean, you thought maybe the Zach Ertz thing was just catching a little bit of lightning in the bottle at the end of the railroad? Because I mean, Daniels loved throwing to him, and it was a bit of a resurgence there. I would think maybe he would have a chance to come back.
That's if he feels he can. Like let's be honest. Like that team is talented, so it's a situation of well, free agent wise. Let's look. You look and see tight end wise. Is there somebody who might be a little younger? You know, you could keep Ertz. He could be situational if he's willing to play dirt cheap. If he wants a shot at it. I don't know. He looked depressed as all in the post game. Like this was the
Oh,
last ride kind of deal.
the
So I'm like,
the last ride being giving up a double nickel to your old team that you helped win a Super Bowl for not that long ago.
so he may say, you know what, this is it. I'm good. I went on this run because he even said, he goes, I wish I was like 25, 23, 24 and just starting out with him because I love playing with Daniels. So who knows? Maybe, like I said, if they keep him situational, if he feels he's got another year and can help him out, then yeah, definitely do it. But I think, if you look at the landscape free agent wise, if you've got people that are interested, younger tight ends, that'll be great for him. Someone who can stretch the field, because I think you want to be able to throw the ball a little more. I think Scary Terry needs a legit number two. If I was Washington, I'd go after T. Higgins.
Hmm.
That would open that up. Get a second tight end. All right, fine. If you want to keep Zach, bring another guy a little younger, stretches it out even more. Running back, I think you need a legit runner. Like Robinson's decent. Robinson's decent. Eckler, I'd say, all right, it's been fun. And then that defense, there's some pieces. Lattimore, I don't know. I don't think he's the guy. I think, he just fell apart. I know he had a hamstring injury, but that boy has been abused since he's come
AJ
back.
Brown torched him.
Like, you give him, you don't give him a pass, but you're like, okay, AJ Brown, all right, he blew me, he torched me. But if it was like the Eagles, like number 5 guy on the depth chart, then you'd be like, what the hell did we trade for?
Yeah.
So, Lattimore is going to have to come back and have a hell of a season next year to make this trade worth it. Probably
Hmm.
another couple other pieces, but the culture's there. I think they're good. I think they're going to be okay.
A big reason why the culture is there is the person that they could be really airing the offense out with next year, Jayden Daniels. And I can't put one iota of blame on this for this loss on Jayden Daniels. Like people look at the box score and see the pick. That was at the end of the game when the game was lost, and he was still competing. He was still throwing it down the field. The majority of this game, he was poised. He was clean in the pocket. The offensive line, as daunting as task as Philly's defensive line is, they still and they got their share of penetration. They looked a hell of a lot better than Buffalo's offensive line did. Um, and even with that, he was still staying in the pocket and for the most part delivering that pass cleanly on target. Whether that the receivers did anything with it is another story, but I can't. Like I said, I can't put this on Daniels.
No, you can't. They were, like I said, they were in it for a half, and then all of a sudden, the floodgates open on the defense. I don't, you know, whatever quarterback you got back there, when you're down 50, 50 something points to 30, like it doesn't matter. Like to 20, there's only so much you can do. And that offense is not a quick strike, offense. It's a running, eat up clock. Their first drive was like 18 plays. Like that's what this offense is.
Yeah.
It's not a quick strike offense. So he did the best he could with what he had. You get him some more weapons, stretch in the field, they're definitely going to put up more points. So no, I wouldn't blame him at all. I think he was great. That's why there's no doubt he was the best rookie who came out this year. He was the best rookie quarterback hands down.
There's still two more head coaching jobs open, but I would have to think that Cliff Kingsbury would want to stick around for a little while longer just to keep calling plays for Jayden Daniels.
You think he'd want to go to first of all, who'd want to go to the Saints? Who? Okay, during this whole 2-3 weeks of coaches getting hired, you heard no one saying, "Oh, Mike McCarthy was the only one who was like, oh, I'll go down there and interview. So I just want a job." No one wants to go to the Saints. They're a junk job. If they called me, I don't know, man. I'd like just because I'd get some cool outfits and I'd be getting autographs from other players and stuff on other teams. That's the only reason I take that job. The team, who wants that junk? If I'm Cliff, I'm like 1 more year here. I'm gonna make him look even. I'm gonna make Daniels look even better. From what people said and I've read, he may not be big into head coaching. He did his thing, and OC maybe is what he wants to do. You can get paid. A team will pay you well as an OC. How much more money do you need? Just be an OC, get yourself some rings, and then if he finally decides he's young enough where you could say, okay, all right, I'll take a team over. Maybe he stays there in Washington. Dan moves on, and he just inherits it. He's in a nice spot. He's got a great quarterback. That's what you want.
He's like Josh McDaniels without all the drama and frill around him. The head coach thing, not your deal, but coordinator, bells for the whistle.
That's it, and you can always come home. You can always come home. Josh always has a place at the craft table. Well, yeah. Who wants to go? Who wants the Saints job? What? Look at the junk on there, man. That's like buying an '87 Honda. You're like, yeah, man. Look at 400,000 miles. You're like, yeah. Look at this butte, rust spots. There ain't enough paint for that.
The '87 Honda still probably runs better than the Saints offense.
Yeah, it does, because you sure as hell don't know who the quarterback is.
Never fails to get a Saints joke in on an episode of Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee.
Cam Jordan, you're my boy.
Yeah. A name you've mentioned quite a bit throughout the course of the show is probably the dark horse in the MVP race if voters kind of split hairs between Josh and Lamar, and that is the third finalist, Saquon Barkley. And another huge performance in the playoffs. He lit up the Packers, lit up the Rams. Now he lights up Washington by 3 times over, and it's not looking like anyone can slow down Saquon Barkley still.
Nope. He's just checking his list off. He's like, yep. And then after he does it, he looks and says, all right, who from New York is watching? That's what this is. It's a straight up revenge tour for Saquon. He's like, all right, I wanted to be in New York. You guys threw me away, didn't want to pay me. So here you go. Oh, look, I'm in the Super Bowl. Where's Danny Dimes? Sitting in the bench yelling, skull, skull, skull. Technically the third quarterback because the guy you drafted is number 2, but is on the IR. So, yeah, that's real great, Danny Dimes. You're a winner. So, no, yet again, Saquon. Honestly, like when Saquon came out, like everyone was like, all right, first of all, you don't draft at this point. This was when the running back situation had come up and people were like, running backs they're done. Why would you draft him 2 and all this? Now, mind you, he was good in New York, but he wasn't this good.
Yeah.
Because you put him behind this line, dude, he's generational. He's unreal. So at this point, like I'd like to see him win the MVP. It's not gonna happen, but it would be nice. But he's incredible. He has taken that offense and just no one can stop him. Like what they're gonna do. They're like, we're going to run Saquon. Let's go ahead and stop it. 170 yards later, still haven't stopped it. All right, Jalen's going to throw now. So he'll throw for 220, and then it's like, what the hell happened here?
It almost irritates me, the fact that a couple times Saquon had a big run and he falls down inside the 5. I'm like, oh, why are you just setting up the touch push? Come on. Just score, Saquon. Just score. You don't have to do that.
You know what? You know what? It's one of those things where, and I get it. It's his team first attitude, and it's great this year. I think next year he's running those in. He's like, no. I did, especially if they win the Super Bowl. He's like, no, I did my team thing. Now I'm doing me because
Yeah,
I know he wanted that record. He wanted that
yeah.
rushing record. But you know what? He didn't want to ruffle feathers because he remembers. He's like, I remember where I came from, and I
Hmm.
don't want to go back there again. So Hurts, if you want to go ahead and get your 16 touchdowns, get your 20 rushes for 21 yards, here you go. Do your thing.
And you touched on it before. It wasn't just Saquon. Saquon just kind of leads the attack, but Shipley comes in garbage time and he puts up a decent game in a small percentage of snaps as well. Hurts, it's all from the goal line, but still a couple touchdowns nonetheless. So it's just that the Eagles' rushing attack is spearheaded by Saquon, and they're running what end arounds to Goddard. He's scoring too. Like it's just an overall balance that Saquon just happens to be the figurehead of.
Yeah, Dallas Goddard doing end arounds. Really? No, mind you, he's a great tight end, but really, I'm not. That's not the first play I'm thinking. Okay, Dallas Goddard end around, nice. Not drawing that in the dirt, but no, that's the thing because teams are so focused on Saquon. Before you know it, yeah, you've got Dallas Goddard running around doing stuff, and then next thing you know, Jalen's like, okay, I'm going to throw the ball now, and then AJ Brown's lighting it up. You've got Smith doing his thing. Like there are weapons all over this team. It's just that the running game has just spearheaded everything. You know?
The other thing that Saquon does is there was a good chunk of this game where the offense was moving down the field, not necessarily because of Saquon, but because Jalen was taking advantage of a lax Washington secondary, and he was hitting AJ down the sidelines for big chunk yardage plays. So now, like aside from that one absolute gorgeous footwork by the pylon by AJ, there really wasn't a lot of scoring in the passing game. But Jalen still was moving the offense down the field, and that was
Yeah.
obviously a lot because of Saquon's work.
Yeah. Plus Saquon was sitting there blocking. There were a couple times where, Frankie Louvu came running up the middle and Saquon met him head on and was blocking. So Saquon's doing everything and even the dirty work.
Mm-hmm. Was this finally? I'll rehash a topic from a previous show. Is this the game where you kind of feel Jalen's? I don't want to say Jalen's back, but Jalen's at least shaken off the kind of rust or injury concern or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think he looked comfortable. I think this game it was, like I said, it was tight the first half, and then they were able to sit there and impose their will and just blow the thing wide open. But no, I think he was able to do a lot of things, and he's probably as comfortable as he's been in this offense this year. So he just sits there and doesn't have to be the guy. He's at the end of the day, when you're a quarterback, of course you're the guy, but when you've got a guy behind you who's rushing for over 2,000 yards, you can sit there and say, okay, I can pick my spots. I don't have to throw for a ton of yards. So no, I think he looked good. I think in this next game, I think there's going to probably be a lot more passing. I think Saquon will still be the center point of it all, but I think you're going to see some quality receiving coming out of this game for Philly.
It's so impressive to me with Saquon that for uh, a guy that's not necessarily like a Jerome Bettis type of build. He can
Mhm.
still run so physically, especially with an injury history. He can run so physically and dominate in a physical way. It's not just him doing scat backs and spin moves and jumping over people. It's not just pretty fancy plays. Like he actually will run people over.
Yeah, no, he's a complete back. Earlier in the season we were kind of worried about his receiving, but no, he is a complete back, and I think because of the system he's in now and the talent that's around him, he doesn't get run into the ground. They take care of him because they knew what he went through in New York. So I think it's one of those things where they're like, all right, Saquon's, it's third quarter, say, we got the game in hand. Let's pull Saquon back a little bit. So they manage him well. So he's fresh and ready to go. So wouldn't expect anything less going into this final game. He's going to be raring to go.
Let's have some fun before we toss off air. What was going on the goal line? Everyone on the earth, everyone on the world and the planet knows it's coming. As annoying as it may be, especially the fact that they call it tush push, it's just a QB sneak, people. It's nothing that hasn't been around for the last 70 years in the game of
Mm-hmm.
football. Everyone knows it's coming, and the fact that Washington stopped it the first time, and what do they do the next time? Love jumps over the line of scrimmage, and that actually caught them off surprise. Jalen's like, "Whoa, what the heck's going on?" And then he does it again. Jalen just backs off and let him does it. And then this third time, another encroachment penalty. Not this time, not Luvu. It's one other guy on the line of scrimmage. He just
Neutral zone.
into the neutral zone. Thank you. It's just like what is in Washington's head? How much immaturity can one team have?
Like the first time it happened, I get it. You're trying to time it. They're trying to time it, and I get it. But by like the third time he's jumped over. Now, mind you, the first time was kind of cool to see him like sail over. I'm like, okay, and everyone's kind of chuckling over it, commentator wise and all. But the third time, it's like, all right, what's going on here? Because then the refs are starting to say, oh man, they give the warning to Washington. They're like, if you guys are doing this on purpose, we're just going to give them the touchdown. Now, at this point in the game, I'm like, yeah, I'm like the game's over because I was one of those ones that was rooting for a Buffalo Commanders Super Bowl. So I'm like, you know what? Just give them the touchdown. I've never seen it before, so just throw it up there. That'd be kind of cool. And it was just bad. Like I get it. You want to stop it. So then you basically do this. The nose of the ball is literally over the line. Just give them the points. But no, they got to run the play, and they just bulldoze you over. And I'm like, wow, that was anticlimactic.
I got such a kick. It was like a school teacher reprimanding an unruly child in class. Where the ref literally comes out and he goes like, you know, at the referee's discretion, we can award the team a touchdown if this type of behavior continues.
The best is when the ref patted himself when he was like the referee, like he had to give himself a little bit of props. Like, do you see who I am?
This
I
is
can
just
I,
JT Tread.
I can I can award touchdowns anytime I want. I should be doing the Chiefs game. So it was like, all right, like I said, the first couple times was funny, and then I'm just like, gosh, just let them score. I'm over this already. Good Lord. I'm over it, man.
I think the rub in it was all just extra irritating. The fact that they stopped it the first time and then they proceeded to do this 3 times in a row. I'm like, you already stopped them. Why are you trying to jump the snap count?
Yeah. So you stop them and knock them back. So if I'm Washington, I'm feeling good about myself. Luvu's got ants in the pants or something. He's just like, and you see him like jumping like this. It's like he's gonna jump. He's gonna jump. And then there's like no motion. There's like total stillness. And then all of a sudden you just see him leap. And I'm like, really? And they're just watching him dive over. They're like, okay, whatever. Move the ball. Let him go again.
Yeah.
The effort was there, but there's a point when you just got to stand there and just say, okay, well, if they're going to get it, they're going to get it. I can't be diving over the line like this. But I guess you just add that, and that's just an added perk to the 55 you gave up.
Yeah, exactly. Like extra salt in the wounds.
That's gonna be a meme. He should just get it framed and hang it in his house.
Fly.
Exactly. See, this is effort. Put this on the effort reel there. I don't know, man, but A for effort for Washington. Like I said, I think they got a bright future. They've got some salary cap. They spend it smart, get some young blood in there and stuff. They're going to be good. So, Luvu he's a solid player. Just stop jumping all the time, man. Let it happen naturally.
We'll keep jumping for us, Sunday Scaries faithful. We got plenty of young blood to go around, and we'll be back in a week to preview Super Bowl 59 between the Eagles and the Chiefs. Bucks McGee, take us off air with your final thoughts on Championship Sunday now that we know the Super Bowl matchup.
Washington, hell of a season. Much respect. You guys got a bright future. Philly, America's looking to you guys to take down the true evil empire known as the Kansas City Chiefs. Buffalo, welcome back to the fraudulent motel. Got the keys.